Please, motion by Paul and seconded by Sharon. All those in favor of allowing Terry to involve himself in this meeting,
Please vote.
signify by saying aye.
You need to vote on your iPad.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Nope. No? Oh, okay, so voice vote is good.
Please vote. I think we do we have to do it by the computer?
No.
We don't. Okay. All those opposed? Ayes have it. So welcome, Terry. You're on with us. Happy to hear you.
Thank you, Chairman Salzer.
Okay, the next item of business is going to be, whoops, I assume it's going to be for our minutes of the last meeting. And we need a motion on that. Matt, seconded by Sharon. Okay. Please vote. I'm touching my four, but everybody.
Yeah. Hold on, it's muted, so it's got to be bright first. So let's do. Oh, good. Okay, everybody's got to do this. There we go. There you go. Okay.
How do I tell it everybody has voted?
Megan will let you know. It's got to go back there. Yes,
How do I know everybody has voted?
it'll come up on the screen.
Oh, it'll come up on the screen. Terry, did you vote?
I did vote via computer, but if it didn't come through, aye.
All right.
So I move on.
Yep, you can move on.
All right. How do I get off of this?
The red X button.
The red X. Our next item will be the informational items, and we have the Greater Peoria Sanitary District. I don't think Terry is here.
Mr. Chairman.
Brian is here, and I'll have to tell you, I did read these because I like reading these minutes about our sanitary district because they really are so important to us. Go ahead, Scott.
Mr. Chairman, I was just going to let you know that I saw Mr. Johnson this morning, and he is not able to be here today. But if you or the committee have any questions, I'm happy to take those and send them to Mr. Johnson so that we can get those answered for you.
Anyone with any questions to be taken back to Brian? Okay, moving on. Our next one would be the facilities master plan. Mark, but Calvin's going to handle this for us. Okay, Calvin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The list I have for you today for the, excuse me, the master plan, Updates on some of the projects out at the jail. We do have the cell sync conversion going on. We do have 110 units complete. I need to verify funding with finance to see how many more I can get under this budget that we have for it. The ring road out there, we're waiting for phase 2 for weather to break to get started there. Here at the courthouse, we have the Main Street steps and the Plaza Fountain, which is the grounds. That's all tied in one. Still in progress there. The building exterior, it is still in progress as they're still working outside. And for the remodel of probation, circuit clerks, and order protection, we're just finalizing staff movement and with IT so we can get a pre-construction set to get started. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Do we have any questions for Calvin?
I have a bunch of questions, Calvin. So I want to know, first off, I've been hearing from the people here that you're doing a good job on the facility maintenance program, better than it has been in the past.
Thank you.
But I'd like to have an update on the problem we had with this sprinkler first. I got several items here I want to go through with you.
Sure.
On the sprinkler in that closet. I toured this on Friday with Chairman Salzer and I, and we can't find one thermostat in there, no heater in there. And is it because a frozen pipe is what broke that sprinkler head, or is the pipes old, as I think someone else said?
You are correct. There is no ventilation in that room. It's a closed storage room. We did open up the ceiling, and it looks like there's no insulation in one of the beams that we're going to add insulation to before we close it back up. You can just feel the draft coming through.
Do you think by getting a door that maybe has like a vent in the door, they can put that where the air out in the other hallway can go into there? Would that help?
It's very possible. You won't have any air movement except the static air that's freely flowing through. You won't have no draw because you don't have any return in that storage room to pull it through.
Okay, and then right next to it was stairwell 7, or stairwell F. That's on the second floor, right? Mm-hmm. That was so cold that even Chairman Salzer thought it was like 40 degrees in that stairwell. Is the stairwells not heated either?
We did find 2 of the 3 units in that stairwell are not heated properly, and we are in the midst of investigating why they're not working.
Okay, let's go to the courtroom on 424. That thermostat registered at 73 degrees. Then I went down the hallway and we spoke with Judge Steve Corey. Mm-hmm. He's freezing in his room. Have you checked that out? And I looked at his thermostat. It was set between 85 and 90, and he's got a heater by his feet to keep him warm. My suggestion is, because I had to do it in my own building, it used to be N-Tech. I had Helm come out because my thermostats weren't registering right, and I had Dylan do the in-the-floor heat with a big boiler. Is our heat on a boiler here?
Yes.
Did you guys have somebody come in and maybe check all the thermostats in this building that were freezing up there, that everybody's cold?
We can check thermostats through our automation system.
You can do it then?
Yes.
And then who do you report to?
Mark.
Mark, and then can we get a report on that when you get that done?
Okay.
I'd like to have that, in a month or whatever.
Sure.
And if you can even go back, because I know there was a problem with air conditioning downstairs, and that might be because of those thermostats too. I don't know. What was the problem on the air conditioning 6 months ago?
In which part of the building?
Down in the circuit clerk's office.
I'm not for sure on the air conditioning unless some of my other staff is looking into that.
Yeah, give me something on that too, if you would.
Okay.
So now we'll stay down there. When I went down there and we walked it around, Chairman Salzer and I did, every person at a desk had heaters there. Why is that not heating up down there?
Well, that I can't. I mean, we did find a valve off the heat exchanger that Rule is looking to purchase a new actuator for. But in the past, this was just recently. In the past, I don't recall any wrongdoing. We've been told that thermostats are broke, they don't work. They do work. I can't go around with my computer to use thermostat and watch it work. The system is, I believe, well, since the new phasing from Johnson Controls, a lot of the VAV valves or the actuators for those valves have failed, and we won't know it until actually somebody complains about the conditions.
Okay, so have you not known that they have these heaters down there in the circuit clerk's office? You didn't know that?
Well, I've got staff in other various parts of the building that's 73 degrees. With all respect, that 73, 74 degrees is
Oh, that's plenty.
comfortable,
I get it.
and they still have heaters under their desks.
But it was cold down there. I was down there, and Chairman Salzer was with me.
I believe we found a problem, and I would have to talk with Mr. Spears. I believe it's warmed up and stayed pretty warm for them the past couple of days.
Okay,
But
I'll go down there after the
verify that.
meetings today. I'll go down there and ask I like talking to the people on the ground there,
Sure.
because that's who I talk to. Do you think the reason that, if it wasn't that pipe that busted, are the age of those pipes bad upstairs there? Because if we're gonna spend $1 million down there fixing that circuit clerk's office up, should we not look at on that second floor, the first floor at the pipes to make sure everything's right and replace all those sprinkler heads maybe?
We can look at the pipes for sure, for any type of deterioration in them, but the ones we have was the sprinkler heads themselves that had let go, not the pipes.
What did you just say? It was,
The piping in that storage closet, for instance, the piping is good. It's the sprinkler head itself.
okay, that's good to hear in a way. Now, could we
Yes.
replace those heads? Wouldn't we want to get like a Hitchcock or Pipco, somebody to inspect them for us and let us know? Because are they still the original sprinkler heads?
As far as I know.
And that was built, help me out, somebody, I haven't been, when was that built?
88, 89, somewhere in there.
You're talking, 25, 26 years?
I can have a cost estimate put together.
It's more than that even, 30 years. I think that's what I'd look at. So I can get an inspection report. Do you guys, how often do you walk, if you're the facilities manager here, how often do you go to the courtrooms, to the judge's offices, and then down there, do you guys walk them once a week, once a month?
I'm all over the building every day.
Okay. One of the gals down there told me, and this is a simple fix, I think, outside in that planning bed, I don't know how it's getting in, but she's saying that the water, when the sprinkler system was turned on outside in the bed out there, the water's coming through that wall, and they got puddles of water sitting there by where the circuit clerk's office when you first go in, to the right there.
Yep.
So my suggestion is, they said they finally turned the sprinkler off, or you did, somebody did.
Yes, I shut that nozzle off.
Okay, have we checked to see if there's no mold in that then?
That is a block wall, but we'll take a look.
Yeah, on the inside. I think that'd be good. Yeah, if you can get back to me on what you guys have done for preventive maintenance and, maybe a schedule, last 6 months, be good. Like to see how often you guys, where you're, what rooms you're in, not rooms, but what floors you're walking and what you find.
Sure.
It'd be nice, and that way I can get back. I'd like, talking to those girls down there, they just want to be warm.
I understand.
And Judge Corey, he wants to be warm. Kelvin, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Jimmy?
Thank you, Chairman Salt. And me and Danny talked about this a little bit earlier, but for historical reference, ever since Johnson Controls put that in, it doesn't, we've had people in the courthouse say they're too hot to too cold. One of the things that concerns me over the fact is all the space heaters that are at people's desks. I do not think we should be having any space heaters allowed in the courthouse, period. Whether you're hot, cold, dress appropriately for that. That is a fire hazard waiting to happen. And then in regards to the tickets, it's really hard to say for anybody to have walked around the entire courthouse and know what, unless there is an actual I guess the question on those controls of having, instead of a report given, have we gone and checked everything instead of just chasing our tail around, is there a service ticket that was created and the time lapse for Calvin and his team? Because I would bet if there's a service ticket created, and I know Clerk Spears sent the other day about one of the heaters on an email I was on about it not working in the hallway, and Calvin and his team were already on. The response was that they were already on that heater being in there. And I think it's important to be mindful. This happened on the coldest day of the year. This wasn't a 30-degree day. This was, I don't know about anybody else's house, but even my house, the heater never shut off, and it was constantly cold in an old building. But I will have this, is like Calvin, Mark, and the entire facilities team was here within an hour of it breaking. Clerk Spears was here inspecting his office. Chief Judge Gorman was here going over. Gabe was here. IT had about 4 or 5 people, because there is some IT stuff that had been damaged in the rain, or as it was raining down through the multiple floors. Scott was here. So I think the team did an incredible job, and it could have been a lot worse than it had here. We had Mid-Illinois responsive in the next day. Blue Sky was here within 2 hours. When we left here at 10:30 at night, there was 9-10 trucks out there constantly. So, I mean, some things, as the buildings get old, there's just nothing that you can do. It's by chance. I don't know what heads, like my dad had told me, he thought heads had a lifetime, but I don't know that they have a lifetime. So,
That's what I'm saying. I think they ought to have them, it shouldn't cost that much to have somebody come in and check those heads out. So we don't go, you don't want to go through this again in another 10 years.
I mean, I think we're doing a much better job of looking to the future and protecting these buildings. We're never going to be able to come 100% proof that nothing happens here. I mean, I know the clerk's office starts to remodel here in a couple weeks or within a month, I think. So I don't think there's any reason to delay that. I think we can simultaneous pass of moving forward. But we used to have, Scott, correct me if I'm wrong, some Johnson Control reports about facility. When we did all those bonds 20 plus years ago, it was to save a ton of money by updating it. I don't know where those are at anymore.
But so in the mid to late aughts, we did 3 rounds of guaranteed energy savings performance contracting. All 3 rounds were more focused on, at that time, life cycle replacements of large, expensive mechanical systems, and less focused on the amount of energy we would actually save, because that was really the only vehicle that we could use to, for example, replace the cooling tower that needed to be replaced, replace the 2 chillers that we have in the building, put variable frequency drives on every single motor that and pump that we had, which wasn't the case prior to that. Some of those things are probably coming up on their own life cycle replacement, even with the preventative maintenance that we do. So it's a taking stock of what we have, making sure that that we do the preventative maintenance that is necessary, and I feel very confident in that Calvin and the team do perform that preventative maintenance. This is one unique situation where we had a room that has no ventilation in it because it's a storage closet. It's not occupied, and but by code has a sprinkler head in it, and that sprinkler head failed. We all know that it's not the freeze that causes a pipe to fail. It's the thaw that causes it to fail. Hearing today for the first time that, I'm by no means an expert, but sprinkler heads might have a shelf life or a life to them. That's something that we'll need to investigate. And if that is the case, then we'll start to look at for those areas of the building that do have sprinklers, what the life of those heads are, and we'll put together a project plan and a budget estimate to start systematically replacing those heads so that we eliminate that as a reason for why this could happen again in the future.
But just to be clear, the gals down there said, Calvin, you are doing good. They've seen an improvement with you. And the only other thing, like I'm saying, I would maybe it used to be called N-Tech. I had them come to my place. They can tell if the thermostats are bad or not. And they tested my thermostat, and I had to have it replaced at my building. So I'm just saying, if you want to do that, that's fine. If not, you're going to do piece by piece. When it goes down, then we fix it. That's fine too. But they just look old to me. I mean, really old times, especially in Judge Corey's room is where I took the picture on that. So, Chairman Salzer, do I have any more you got any more to add?
The thing I think Danny and I talked over most was the fact that we're going to make all these improvements here in the courthouse, and if we still got this problem, is it going to happen again? And we're throwing all this money in. We're just trying to make certain that we're not going to fix a place up and then have it have some serious problems like we've had in the past, because there's other times that the circuit clerk has been flooded out from the floors above, and of course these floors above where he says, Judge Corey, who is my next door neighbor, you want to take care of your next door neighbor, especially if he's a judge, and he was sitting in there, and we walked in his office, and he did have a heater right there at his desk where he was working. Anyone else with comments? I'm sure some of you on this committee have heard people complain about the heat or complain about the cold in their workplace. And Jimmy, as much as I respect you, I don't see how we can tell these people they can't have a heater to keep them warm when it's so cold down there in the office where they're working. Anyone else with questions?
Coach, I would say if we're going to talk about space heaters around here, we need to have some sort of common sense with them, because typically hazards and fires that cause in most places come from space heaters. So if they're not looking to see what we're bringing in, who knows what we have, plus the power it's drawing off of each one. So I'm not saying that we can go into the same office, and I know for a fact you can have somebody sitting at one desk that's hot and somebody sitting at the next desk that's cold. When our constant temperature in here is 73 degrees, 72 degrees, Scott?
Correct.
So, 72 degrees to some people might be cold. But that is a constant. I don't think we need to overreact to, we had an accident, it's corrected, we now have diagnosed the problem, it happened on the coldest day of the year. We still need to move forward with the clerk's office remodel, but we're never going to make, no matter what we do in here, but maybe some of that, as it was mentioned, when we made those improvements, they were top of the line 20 years ago. What Scott did say is there are certain things that we made improvements from 20 years ago. All mechanical systems will eventually fail. That is a fact. That some of those are probably old and outdated, and there probably is some newer energy efficiency things that we can do that we need to, one, with our plan for the facilities going forward. We've hired CORE. We have the new administration position that's going to look over that. We are heading in the right direction for that.
Chairman Salzer?
That's Terry.
Yes, Terry?
Yeah, I apologize for the audio if this is loud or annoying, but I wanted to chip in on this subject. Number one, I'd like to congratulate Calvin on all the things that didn't happen. When you have a building of 100,000 plus square feet, a lot of things can go wrong. He is dependent upon people in the building to report. It's cold in our office, it's too hot in our office. He can only respond to what he knows about. So those work tickets are important, that they do make somebody aware of a problem. Number two, congratulations again to Calvin for the quick response of everybody involved with that remediation, because having toured the space myself early in the week, I'm amazed at how minimal the damage was, considering what it could be. Those can be very, very dangerous situations and tremendous amounts of damage. So they did a great job in responding to it. All the trade partners that got in there and did their thing as quickly as possible. Well done to all of those folks. And I also do believe that an ongoing maintenance program, at some point a comprehensive study of sprinkler head conditions throughout the building. It would be an important addition to what we can do to prevent it. And then finally, to make the point that Jimmy is making, the space heater thing is a big issue. They are dangerous. They continually come to the top of the list for hazardous, mishaps inside of any building. And I think we should develop a policy that says we're either going to have them or we're not. And if a room is too cold to work in that you have to bring the heater, then we need to address the heating and cooling issue, not put space heaters all over the place. It's just the electrical system isn't designed for it. The heaters are not designed for it. And so I'd like to just reiterate what Chairman Dillon is telling us. I think it's very important to do what we can to get those heaters out of there as soon as possible.
Okay, anyone else with comments? Yes, Marcy?
Before we start just like going through and removing all the heaters, we need to have someone study the temperatures of the rooms, because like Jimmy said, the temperature 73 everywhere. Well, if that's not the case, then yeah, that obviously needs to be addressed, because just because somebody's room is 73, somebody else's room might be 63. We can't all just put it down on different people's body temperature, so to speak. So, and yeah, I also agree that the space heaters can be a problem, and if we go off of Member Kelch's idea that we have the thermostats checked, and then thereby eliminating the need for the space heaters, now you are producing a cost savings, because like Jimmy said that they cost a lot of money, and I understand that as well. So if you check the thermostats and you fix the problem, then you've eliminated the need for the space heaters. But to just go through and tell everybody that they have to work in a room that's 60 degrees or 65 degrees is not going to sit well with your employees. And I'm sure they all have a dress code of what they're allowed to wear, so dressing appropriately isn't always an answer to that. You just, you can't wear long underwear and coats and things in your office setting if you're cold. So, I mean, there's a lot more than just people's body temperatures and different people having different ideas on what's hot and cold. We have to be able to maintain the temperature at a good point for everyone.
Anyone else? Okay, we'll move on to our next informational item here today. And Scott, are you going to handle that one?
Heather's going to handle that one. Heather's going to take care of it.
Heather, okay, Heather. Oh, thank you.
Good afternoon. In your packets, you have the project progress to date through January 16th of this year, and we've added the fiscal 25 columns in there, so that looks a little different from last month. Just a couple of highlights to the question about the jail cell, converting the cells from the monolithic to the modular. We've completed 110 units for a total of $65,000. So if the price per cell remains the same, we could do another 225 cells with the remaining budget of 135,000 in the fiscal 24 budget. That will roll forward to fiscal 25. So that's really the other highlight I would say is we're wrapping up on the HHS building, obviously, for payments. Everybody's been moved in, but we're just waiting on that final pay application from River City. Happy to answer any other questions.
Anyone with any questions for Heather? Thank you, Heather.
Thank you.
Okay, we're getting into our resolutions. We have 5 resolutions today, and need a motion on the first one in regard to our farmland that we own. Can we have a motion by Marcy, seconded by Danny Kelch?
Right.
Thank you, Mark. Go ahead.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman. This is a resolution to recommend approval of a 3-year lease agreement for the years 2025 through 2027 with Richard E. and Richard N. Shanes for the county-owned Edwards farmland. It's approximately 20.6 acres at a rate of $271 per acre. This went out for bid. We had 2 bids come in. One bid at $210 an acre, and this bid at $271 an acre. Our previous 3-year contract was at $210 an acre, so this is an increase over that. If you're not familiar with this is down off Route 8, right by Edwards. It's right there where the creek crosses, and it's about 10 acres on each side of the road there. So not a very large piece of land, but it's split right between Route 8.
Jim?
Thanks, Mark, or Coach Salzer. Mark, the only question I would have, and I appreciate the contract in 3 years, is so going back to our solar field on the ground on the West Campus, where is there an advantage financially, other than I get that we don't want to put this out for bid every year, of being in a 3-year contract? And then 2, do we have an out clause, not that we're going to do anything with this property, but where we had to extend that contract or give them an extra year to take the ground out like we did last time? What are our protections in the contract?
Well, we don't have the contract yet. Once you guys okay this, then we'll work on the contract, and I work with Jenny on that. Jenny has a long history, from what I understand, of doing farm leases, and I really look to her to put, for that expertise. So that's something we can look at adding in there. I believe that, the 3-year gives that farmer some commitment that they're going to have that land for 3 years, so they're going to put the fertilizer in it. If we could put these out for bid every year, I don't see that commitment on that side. So I think the land is probably in better condition than from a 3-year. But we could look at putting an out clause in those. We haven't before, but since we've had to do that, recently on the large farm at the jail, which that will go out for bid the end of this year, starting for next year. So I can work with Jenny on that.
Thank you. I just had like to make sure, have no idea, but if in 2 years somebody comes forward and we have a proposal for that we have out clauses.
Yeah, the only problem with this is that this is in bottom land, so if you get a good year without water setting on it, you're all right. So, yeah. So that's the reason this land's leases out a little less than that jail farm land, because it's just where it's setting. So.
Mr. Kelch?
Yeah, that's what I was going to comment, Mark. You're right. That is floodplain down there. Because, and Scott knows this, because on the road there's Edwards down there, and we got the money from the government to tear down, 9 homes or something they had to tear down?
Roughly that, yeah.
And all that stuff. And he's right. I mean, if they're going to put a solar field in there, I don't think they're going to want to put a solar field in there, believe me. Not with the way the water is down there. So I think he did great getting a 3-year term.
Anyone else? Please vote.
iPad, yeah. Except Dave. You voted. It'll come up once everybody else has voted. Terry, how do you vote?
In the affirmative, aye.
Motion carried.
And it does appear that my vote was taken by clerkmate.
Okay, the resolution passes the committee. Okay, I gotta get off this. Our next resolution I'll need a motion on has to do with the snow removal as well as mowing of certain places that have not been guaranteed every year. And I need a motion on that by Matt, seconded by Sharon.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This resolution would be for the approval of the snow removal and a mowing contractor agreement with several of the Peoria County facilities, their grounds. This is coming forward due to we are having snow removal without any contract to come in compliance with our county policies. This is going out. This went out for bid with 4 vendors responding, which would be Classic Grass, Jim X, Premier Landscaping, and Reinhardt Landscaping. They were able to bid on each snowing and mowing with their returns. Grading the companies, all 4 companies are very reputable throughout the area. They all do great work. Really couldn't compare apples to apples, except the short change the list. We just had to go with the lowest cost. So we believe that Classy Grass would be the good fit for the snow removal, and Reinhardt for landscaping for the mowing. The campuses including would be the courthouse, the jail and JDC for the West Campus, Pause, Gift Avenue, and the mowing out at the Hannah City Work Camp. This would come from the general fund. No other funding would be needed. And I'd be happy to answer any questions this time.
Any questions? As soon as Scott's get me straightened out up here, I'll call for a vote.
Minister Sorrell?
Yes, sir.
Would this contract be beneficial in looking at discussing with State's Attorney Hoos about potentially just adding American Mausoleum in that so that she didn't have to worry about grass cutting?
Yeah, we absolutely can have that conversation. We can absolutely have that conversation, and then see if the vendor would be willing to invoice it separately. That way, we can keep it separated, and because the state's attorney's office is able to get reimbursed for costs associated with that property from the Mausoleum's trust fund. So we wouldn't have to use county taxpayer dollars unless that was the will of the committee and the board. But otherwise, yeah, we could look at that, absolutely.
I just know that she has to procure grass cutting for that facility, so maybe she would be interested in adding that into this price that you got, which is a good price.
Okay, committee, I'll ask you to vote. Everybody's voted. Resolution is adopted. Moving on to our next resolution, the highway garage will be handling this, and I need a motion to put this on the floor for the hiring of an engineering firm. Sharon, seconded by Marcy.
As the board may remember, a few months ago, the board approved an engineering agreement to do a resurfacing of Glassford Road. We're nearing the completion of those plans, and the overlay or the resurfacing work will happen sometime this summer. We next want to move forward with this project and start a comprehensive reconstruction of Glassford Road. The old road is existing concrete that is failing underneath about 4 inches of asphalt. The only way to really fix that road properly is to do a complete reconstruction of it. The resurfacing we're going to do this summer will be a Band-Aid and get us through, because the road is horrible condition. So the overlay is going to help a lot, but we want to move forward and try to get some funding to reconstruct the entire roadway. We've already applied 3 times for money to help with that cost and have not received any funding for that. In the past, we have found, or other agencies have found, if we have a phase 1 study done and the preliminary engineering done, that can lead to a little more attention for a project and hopefully get some federal funding or state funding in the future. So we asked Hanson Professional Services to put an agreement together with us, and the amount of that agreement will be $831,880. That will be a comprehensive phase 1 where they will study the environmental, the cultural, and biologicals. They'll do traffic counting, traffic studies, how it affects Route 24. IDOT will be very involved with that. We'll have potential of 2 retaining walls as we go down the hill, so we don't have to move a gajillion tons of dirt, but we will have to do something with the dirt as we go down the hill. So we'll need a couple retaining walls. We'll have an intersection in Main Street there in Glassford. So I would like to point out the study has to go from what they call, oh my goodness. Basically, it has to go from Canton Glassford down to Route 24, because those are the logical termini of the road. Our intention is get that phase 1 study done, but then to focus our construction needs from Main Street intersection down to 24. But to properly do it and to make IDOT happy, we'll have to study all the way to Glassford Canton, and then maybe eventually someday do that portion of the road too. So, I am willing to take any questions.
Mr. Dillon.
I'm just going to throw this one out there, and I know I've said it to you before, Paul, but if we do get enough money for complete reconstruction, is this within the boundaries of Glassford itself, or is this partly outside of Glassford?
I think it'll be partly outside of, but it would be definitely something we could talk to them about jurisdictional transfer.
I do think that since it's just that little sliver through there, that if we do get a construction that is up to par like our other agreements that we've had in Peoria and West Peoria, that is a portion of road that we should be looking to transfer to Glassford. Absolutely. Just want to let them be aware of the process.
That's Highway Department's idea also, but we got to get it built before they'll even talk to us about that. So.
Agreed. Fingers crossed.
Any other questions? All right, please vote. Resolution passes. Our next resolution has to do with some townships, and I need a motion on this. Motion by Danny, seconded by Paul.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Some of our townships opt to go out for bid letting for seal coating for their annual seal coating program and not go with the county-led bid letting, that's not an issue. We've had two townships, Hollis, and the next one you'll hear will be Limestone, and they opted to go out early for bid letting for seal coating so they can secure the best prices. The first one is Hollis Township. We received bids from Cullinan and Porter Brothers. Porter Brothers was the low bid at $79,618.35, and this would come out of the township motor fuel tax account to be constructed this summer.
Questions for Amy? Me, no questions? Vote. Resolution passes. Our last resolution also has to do with townships, and Amy will handle this as soon as we get a motion by Sharon, second by Paul.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is the Limestone Township is looking to do some seal coating this summer. They went out for bid to do some work. They received bids from Cullinan, Payment Maintenance, and Porter Brothers. Porter Brothers that was low bid at $292,010, and this is also coming out of the township motor fuel tax account.
Questions for Amy? Seeing no questions, vote. Resolution passes. Moving on. Is there any discussion? Public comments? Miscellaneous? The only thing is, I'm proud that everybody on this committee made it to the ribbon cutting, and Terry, of course, encouraged all of us, and he was right. It was a wonderful ceremony, and unfortunately, I'm going to have to go walk and get my tour later on, but we've done the right thing, and I know Sharon spent a lot of hours there in this project and so forth, and we appreciate all of the work that anybody put in on this project, and it's going to be a very lasting thing for our people. Any other miscellaneous? Everybody wants to get off this committee. I've slowed it down so bad with this communication up here. All right, being no more business, this meeting is adjourned.